Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Baseheart. You are the one to go to when it comes to Salisbury city elections around here.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I want to start by asking you what you think will be some of the main issues that voters are going to be looking at to determine who they choose in this election.
Well, that's a good question. There's a lot of things that all the candidates seem to be behind. One is the revitalization of downtown. Everyone is supporting that. Everyone is behind the Main Street proposal that I think has been pretty well approved now. Everyone talks a lot about that. But there are some traditional issues in Salisbury. One is college student housing in the community. That's always a big issue. And one that just popped up this year, although the crime rate is declining, is a curfew for young people. So that one's been discussed some too.
And crime and the economy, basically the two issues, and we see that nationwide, and of course that comes to Salisbury.
Yeah, so. You're exactly right. In attending a forum the other night at the university, all the candidates want to bring manufacturing jobs to Salisbury, and they want high-skilled jobs, so there's good salaries. Well, every community in the country wants to do that, and no one was too specific as to how you're going to do it. I mean, I would love to see that. We'd all love to see it, but it's a very tough job.
I agree. There did seem to be a lack of specific planning during that forum. Dr. Baseheart, we see a lot of people running in this election, more so than usual. There's some districts with 3, 4 candidates even filing and one. But no one is opposing Jake Day for mayor, and no one is opposing Laura Mitchell for the seat in District 5. Why do you think we've seen an overload in some districts and no opposition in others in the mayoral race?
Well, I think the mayoral race is maybe a little easier to explain because, as I understand, Mayor Ironton did decide that he wanted to leave the mayor's office and wanted to go to the city council for a number of different reasons, and that he and Jake talked about it, and Jake said, yeah, I'd like to be mayor, and they agreed, and Jake seems to be very popular throughout the community, and I think it was wise for someone who wasn't really known to try to take him on. So I think that one's easier to explain. Council District 5 with Laura Mitchell, I'm really not sure because it is the only district, as you said, that doesn't have any competition. Maybe she's doing a real good job. You may run into a situation where there's no one interested. And if I could just add a word on that, that's what everyone was worried when we created these 5 single-member districts, that people would not be interested in running. And in fact, there are plenty of people running in all the districts. They're all competitive except District 5.
Well, I want to ask you about that. How do you think that change from 2 districts, one having 4 seats and then one just having the 1, to a 5-district system, how do you think that'll affect this election as opposed to the previous election of the city?
Well, you know, we don't know for sure. I would like to think it'll increase turnout because we now have districts and people can more easily see who their one council member is going to be. There's competition, and competition always is supposed to, according to political science, increase turnout. There are more people talking, there are more people out trying to get people to vote on election day. So I would hope that there would be a little higher turnout. Now, the other interesting thing, and you may want to ask me about it, deals with plurality voting that we have. We don't have a primary. We don't have a majority vote requirement to win. It's only a plurality. And that is going to make a very unusual race because someone could win with, say, 40% of the vote and the other 2 candidates take 60. More people wanted someone else than the one who won. So we're going to have a lot of split and probably, I would guess, some very close races.
Well, Dr. Baseheart, can you think of any race in particular that will affect, or any candidate that will benefit or maybe hurt by us not having primaries or by a lower or higher voter turnout?
District 1 is one race to watch. That's as we call a majority-minority district. It's traditionally low turnout. There are 3 candidates running. There are 2 African-American candidates, 1 Caucasian candidate. It's possible in that race that the black vote could be split and a white candidate might win. That's a possibility. Although Shaney Shields is the incumbent, an African American, and I think incumbency can also help. But that would be a very interesting race to watch.
Now to voter turnout, you know, Salisbury, we always hear such a low voter turnout, but it's pretty on par with off-year elections nationwide when it comes to city elections. How do you think that will affect the races? Do you see any races that could change based on how many people show up?
It's always possible. If you have, in low turnout elections, you're exactly right. If you are a candidate who's spending a lot of time going door to door, and you have volunteers going door to door, you don't necessarily need a lot of people to win that election. So if it's low turnout, there could be a surprise in a district or at least one district, maybe two. District 3 might be one. 2 incumbents are running, and Kevin Lindsay is running. He seems to have a lot of energy. He's young. You know, if he can really get his people organized, get them door to door, might be an upset.
Okay, and finally I want to ask you, you just talked about a potential upset, and that would be an upset if Kevin Lindsay was able to defeat 2 incumbents. Not often you're going against 2 incumbents in one race. What's the biggest race to watch? What's the most interesting race that you'll be looking at on Tuesday?
I think it's the one we just discussed, District 3, and I guess because that's the one district I live in, but it's interesting. Two candidates, 2 incumbents, a young person running. I think that makes it very interesting. And then also, I think District 2, which is another majority-minority district, although it's only slightly majority-minority. It's like 51%, 52% minority. And there we have 3 candidates running, and 1 African American, 1 of Iranian descent, and 1 Caucasian who's run before. I think that'll be a very interesting race to watch. There's no incumbent in that race. I think that'll be interesting to watch.
So no matter what, there'll be a new council come Tuesday.
That's right.
Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Baseheart.
Thank you for having me.